Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Guruvaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Guruvaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Kande laje gunje toba rava shoza bonde sheye jabo kunje loza seda jeba nende sheso denje nanga sende bende sheze lama jebe zonga dala debe sema shinjo demo jeje keje shozo sheye shengwen jabe lo kesa labe genjo leshe labe beje hamen zebe konde jebe dende laja yewo sheye nazo mendo darje dombe nazen jeja zongwe sha yeje chuje jazo de sena shinjo jela shen haye dome de saba ye ma yeje Yabalan domba sunje mende anjo nyene anje baja Nime ande amande anjo lanje cheye bambe anje jode Gombo jeye labjen zemba loda ya samba dabe Cheze lama namba jena je chugwe kala jenze ajen Cheda zambe ande je azema Sabje cheje chawai abdo Namda vize yingle shenpa ye sojo gola chado me Tame namo mande zawe lama rimbo taso jiwuro bende denjo la gadi chimbe kone jeso koso doye wuro zedo ze mande zawe lama rimbo taso nyingara beme denjo la gadi chimbe kone Choda Dumo Guru Zedu Mande Zave Lama Rimbo Taso Nyingara Bime Denjo La Kari Chimbe Kone Chanjo Nyingbe Dembara Jo Masan Jume Shira Mare Jema Jel Manga Namge Ngo Sozo Rari Ije Tenzin Dorjee Yum Chanzin Lo Deyan Ta Gade Para Samgade Bodhisattva So Deyan Ta Gade Para Gade May I remind every one of ourselves to take a moment and cultivate the Bodhisattva motivation or the altruistic motivation seeking complete enlightenment for the benefit of all other sentient beings. And with that kind of at least contrived bodhicitta altruistic motivation, we should participate in this bodhisattva discourse.
다 순종이 되자다. 가서 예배 먹고 시고스라다. 내가 뭐 예배 먹고 담수 예배 그거 그거에 같이 그랬어요. 근데 람상 동도 대마다 람상에 샥바시는 저와 샥고서 저다 대마 쉬어야죠.
So where we left off in this Bodhisattva guide by the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Shantideva is on page 100 of this English translation by Stephen Batchelors. And so we talked quite a bit about the need to observe or preserve our Bodhisattva ethics intact. But that's the step number one. So do our best not to transgress Bodhisattva ethics and commitments. That being said, but should we happen to transgress our ethics, then what should we be doing? And we will continue from there, which means as soon as we realize that we have transgressed certain Bodhisattva ethics, we should immediately, so to speak, try to do the confession.
예배 shumata 동도 샤고네 뉴무 처무저 니주셔무제네세 니런페 티베나 라게 카나디 드드바제 토자부 샤바라 시바 로버도 옴바 줄나 토그 제베스 짜네세 시미 짜네 시릉베 대뉴아 예드 동 대뉴아 유드 땡랑네 준도라 좀바다 대신도 공도 쉐바다 림데 녀부데베스 제요 니지 제도 제발 안시 유라 주바랑 메바 나 노드 드베 니도 Lüzüm çekin, lezim merunge, mubada nyolesa lilu jowa nana taundu mene bar shiva medabada nyewe jigba so se chene se gewe paji teta nyodu done de ndoba shawa la bego so Timameba Rinpoche Chile Yang De Dang Nusum Nidan Munida Mu Lila Nuli Sim Shungze Teta Dala Yin Zhang Xin Duju Yingbo Chen Xie De Medabada Xiwa Sam शेषो सोदे दाकेदी नेबे कोसरा खर्चेसना पे युरमो नेबा सोदे खजम रोजिबयो हावो माजिते लामसाको छुमाता हाको आशेने लामसा पिके दोतो वजिबो स्पे खाले दोया समो दोसी दिजे लुलुशिया मारेस ओदिसोदा दिपे खरेसना न्यूबा खदी जोरो खरेस न्यूबा छमुजे 니제셔보제네 인도 배 티오나랑게 카나드 루바제 도저부 차바시바 로버도 바 저나 도근 직배에서 짜네 미릉바 시릉베 티뉴드 뉴아니 때나랑데 시루 도 좀바다스 어디 다 도가 그래서 예바 순조시라 예바 순조시 가시고 말서 코바 소양조시 겨 말이지 예바 순조이나 니마레 페샹게메나 그래서 lumbo디바 총아 제시 개베디바 셰 양세야지로 어디로 예바 순조도 고샤 마야샤샤나 코야 페 니마제 대리직 산이니 나니가 시지 되게 더블로스로 배우고 제가 티베는 근데 얘도 동거 제가 아니 예바 숭숭이나 그 예바도 싸우네 예바디 예송 못하면 용고에서 제가 들어야 테마타디 소야 마시면 랑사베 예바 슈바다 랑사 고시니야 니보 랑사 잡다 오시고 레소데스 왔다.
It seems like Krishna went a couple of stanzas backward. So as Krishna explained, that should we become aware of or notice that afflictive emotion has arisen in our mind, or that we find ourselves engaged in what we might consider as insignificant or minor negativity or a fault, we must not kind of underestimate the potency of such fault and negativity. As a matter of fact, we should immediately seize the opportunity and the moment and apply antidotes to counteract it or to correct ourselves. So as Krishna explained, that what we may regard as an insignificant or a small negativity or a fault, with the passage of time, if we don't purify it, it can multiply, and then that insignificant, so to speak, negativity could become a huge negativity with the passage of time. So we must not be oblivious to this minor faults and negativities that we find ourselves engaging in. As a matter of fact, we should be mindful, and right there and then, so to speak, we should confess and counteract our negativities, and that's the way to go. And as we have a saying in Tibetan that a minor negativity of a foolish person could be actually a big negativity, whereas a big negativity of a wise person could be a small negativity, minor. In the footnote, maybe Gisela might explain later, if not, perhaps it didn't make sense to you, is that a foolish person may not know how to confess and purify the negativity. So what is regarded as small for this person may become very big with the passage of time. Whereas a wise person might end up doing a huge negativity, but realize that I need to confess it and I know how to do that. So that negativity could be a small, relatively speaking, right? So that's the meaning of the proverb. Anyway, footnote close. If Gisela explain it, I'll translate it again. If not, that's the meaning. So the bottom line is this, that we must not underestimate the significance of minor negativity, so-called, because with passage of time, they can become a huge negativity. Somehow the negativity seems to have this multiplicity nature, right? It just multiplies, with time, and then it could become a big one.
Raga Khana the Druid Guajin, Tuk Chabu Chawa Shiva, is a lover the Omba Churna, Tuk Jigbe, Jan Sim, Ringbe, say, the new one you do, then along the Druid over, do doa the Zoma Tara. Taking the Kundi Shiva Tar, Dream the Nibu Tembe, saying, Niju get the Chevaro. Anxi yu la juba rangwa meba, nang de duwe nyi da, lusim chehi ge les me rongwa, mukpa tang. Nyumle so, lilu ju, wa nang na, lilu ju wa nang na, Tang to million butter. Sure, Meta Bata, never Jigwa so, trainers, your budget, you do, Dones, and Dova Shawala, big or sauce. What is it that? But the two bed soul, Nigashing Lanzat, so the combat doing, and go all the test, Shivan George Kalek, and Hilly, Mashi, Konjuta Lamsa Kosh Papia, Lamsaya Lansi, Doya, Tavi Shegoravas. She the Koya do the young days go to do the chain, she jo more about it. Now she's in Nida in a Mukbado, Konje, Gumjo de that, Lam Gumza, Lesum, Semro Kari, Yoto, Yogudan, Tizo Ganga Lamsan, Begosha was in Don, Lamsa, Nimbo Lamsa Tangoris, Nimbo Lamsa Madena. In the to the Jig tree, some say in the Mambas Yun, and even all be son in Picarsa, and Doka was Shagris. Tomoko begin never go to Zugdune. New list, Lelos Kurzwan, Gilu was in a Siyaman Dujra, Gilu was in Dala. Gilu was in Chawang, she said, Gilu's in the data condition, the sign is the Shumbilos and the gay young Marciado, Tangala Sheborisado, Ripajo and so young Marcel, young or Diego Don, Lamsa Niambo 10, sort shoot of a show, so this or that.
I think it went back to where we left off. So we are on page 100, and right on the top, stanza 72 reads, just as I would swiftly stand up if a snake came into my lap, likewise, if any sleep or laziness occur, I should quickly turn them back. So, unquote. So that's exactly where we left off last time. And as Kisla explained, that if when we are doing our practice, let's say meditation, and we realize that we are becoming a little bit sleepyhead here, right? Or we have become a little bit lethargic. So it's important for us to notice it and then right away try to refresh ourselves or counteract sleepiness and laziness and all of those things. Otherwise, if we give them more time, and then they can bring more interruptions in our practice, right? But when they have just started, in the beginning, it's much easier to deal with them because they haven't, so to speak, the ground to stand on, right? But if we kind of negligent about them, like give them a little bit more time, okay, then they will overpower us, and then they can bring in other issues. So the bottom line is that we should right there and then counteract, different types of laziness we talked about, isn't it? We have the laziness of being a couch potato. I just don't feel like doing anything today, right? That's laziness. We have the laziness of, underestimating our ability to do stuff, right? We have all kinds of excuses, like I'm too old now, I can't practice, right? Or that I'm really kind of not that sharp-minded, kind of dodo, like so I can't. So we have all these 1,000 excuses where it's basically supporting the laziness of underestimating our own ability and capability. Then we have the laziness of procrastination. Yeah, I know, I need to practice. That's really important. I'll do later. I'll do tomorrow. And then we just keep pushing it, right? So when any of these forms of laziness pops up, it's important to notice it, be aware, and then counter it right away. Because in the beginning, it's easy to deal with them. But if we let them sit for a while, then they can become quite dominant, and they can also kick in other issues. And so the example given about the need to be very immediate in the situation is like should a poisonous snake lands in your lap, are you going to take time like, okay, let me see, how you're doing, right? No, because we are so scared. This poisonous snake is going to bite me, and then I'm going to die. And so there is no time to analyze and think too much here, right? And giving a time, you just so you will right away get up, or you will try to do anything to. Actually, Geshe didn't explain that part, but he said, should a poisonous snake cross into your home, are you simply going to watch and see what it will do? No, you are going to do everything to get rid of, to kick out that snake, isn't it? So that you feel safe. Why you want to do that? Because you don't want to be attacked by the snake and poison, and you don't want to die. You don't want to get sick, right? That's what it is. In the same way as the sleepy head pops up, sleepiness or the laziness rears its head in our practice and meditation, we should fear that should I let these things dominate my mind and disrupt my practice, then right, I might creating a lot of other delusions and negativities, and I might end up in like bad migrations in the future. So that is a very terrible place, a situation to be, not a place. And so afraid of that, we should immediately, just like we will get up and get rid of the snake, we should get rid of these snakes of sleepiness and the laziness and all this afflictionness, thing.
어제 배고서 다 니버들 가르사모도 것은 정말 림보지 팅레스 되도 뉴스니 니다 무 레로 뉴레 쇼에세 대대 다른 장신 도주이고 전세대 무다바다 시와삼 시에서 어디 다들 니모 사모도야지 가르사모도 것은 정말 도알지这对的是对下些女性些，你的目光好像他爬起来开始凶说呢，离了你们里头凶还是开始凶就是呢，这大的延长些是呢，延长是说大，别俺媳妇叫我听着这夜晚别用忙不用都在修的是说嘛，终究这些呢是个是吧？那对就你不听些的，说别。tabzu doma suwa ke lamba da zoga chen interest mazung si de yawa dan dig mari sa ji de samo shuk sam tang ne se ji ene meta ba de chewa sam sta de samo to khar to ne chewa meta ba samo to de shi de ra ka ji da shi de zang ne da de ni sha wo da shi de za me ru ma me sha ne ji de ge ene de ha ma de le ya yo si de ke ni sha wo ra 제가 마음에서는 이제 때문에 좀 해도 말이지 영지와 연구를 해야 피리그 도고리 남들도 도여로 제가 제와 렌드 거대잖아 같이 렌델 케마나 감이다 렌델 케마나 가가지 가지 경로 뭐지 케마 용식 말어 제가 렌델 상들 타고 채워면다 상고리 채워면다서 그 해야 돼 그 삶의 마음에 샤르게 되게 양 윤도의 상어도 근데 마음에 샤나지 이게 매인자 윤도도 양의 가리는 렌델 상어도 거로 세다디 샤메다 세다 까듬 라마도 거서 너도 오면을 샤나지 거래 통다 파서도 계셔 있어 그러 통보 추 나한테 되네 봐도 펴 타마 배 로봇이야 라즈마다 산지 거부터를 미담 시기des 통다 파서 계셔 있어 버다 오면은 닝지시부터다 파서 계셔 있나이 어때는 샤메다 버디 히디콘나 거데서 샤메다 히야디 텐디 음시네 삶이로에 메다 디상원이 거데 삶이로다 하고 그러 다 삶이로다 니 카데스 디게 되서는 이는데 소소 시단 때니 그게 상해 개화된 거야 돼 하고 그러这个是你现在给我这样的每个文字的胸都切着我这地嘞，这感觉。
In a sutra called Chimamebe-do, Stainless Sutra, it is stated, as Geshe explained, that as meditators or practitioners, we become aware that certain kind of afflictive emotion has popped up in our mind. It could be lust or attachment or some kind of afflictive desire, or it could be the sleepy head, and it could be the laziness and any other things. That time we should seize the opportunity and right there and then try to counteract them, right, with antidotes. And so one of the ways to do that is we could do a bit of a self-criticism here, right? Well, I am a practitioner. I make this commitment by myself. Nobody obligated me. But now I'm really not, right, keeping my words here. So how can I do that? That's very unbecoming of me. I made the commitment, and now I'm not keeping it, right, to the practice. So we can engage in a little bit of a self-criticism here. So I really had to wake myself up, And then the antidotes could also include reflecting on, impermanence, death, and dying, mitapa and chiva mitapa. So as Geshe explained more here, that when we think about impermanence, under the big umbrella of impermanence is the death and dying, right? Because we all know that is a sure thing to happen. There's nothing mystery about that, right? And then we raise the question, if one day I must die, everybody has to die, right? Then, is that the end of everything? Just like a butter lamp, when the butter runs out, the flame dies and it doesn't go anywhere. Is my life going to be exactly like that? Once I die, everything stops here, or something is going to continue after my death? All right? So when we analyze it, this is through critical thinking, analytical mind and reasoning, based on the kind of reasoning provided in the Pramana Vartika text, valid cognition text, right? Death is not the end of everything, something continues, isn't it? Our mind stream continues to exist. So which means that mind stream of ours will continue, and we have to take rebirth. Yeah? Now the rebirth broadly can be good rebirth or bad rebirth. Then what determines the good and bad? What determines that is our own good and bad karmic actions. Right? If we have done good karmic actions, they will yield good rebirth. If we have done bad karmic actions, it will yield bad rebirth. And so there's something that's going to continue after the death. So that means that that I really need to counteract this afflictive emotion that's arising in the mind, this laziness that is kind of preventing me from doing my practice. Otherwise, that I might end up creating negativities that could precipitate my rebirth in the bad migrations. Yeah, that's what I don't want it, right? So thinking about this thing, then we are able to bring ourselves back into practice with fresh mind. Okay? So that's very important for us to do. As Geshe said, the great Kadamba Geshes or the masters have emphasized the importance of impermanence and death and dying meditation. This is one thing that's important in the beginning, it's important in the middle, it's important at the end of your practice. It's important in the beginning because then it really motivates you to stay alert in your practice, isn't it? It's important in the middle that it helps you to sustain your practice, right? Quality practice. It's important at the end because it helps to ripen, right, fruition your practice. So therefore, Kadamba Geshe say that meditating on death and dying impermanence is important in the beginning, important in the middle, and important at the end. Just like great Indian master Chandrakirti talks about how Mahakaruna, great compassion, is important in the beginning, important in the middle, important at the end, in the Madhyamika, right, supplement to the middle way. Kadamba Geshe talk about the importance of death and dying meditation as important in the beginning, middle, and the end of our practice.
The never show a church and bear, but never don't do shit of it. There's a bear, let them all or curious. Tenzin Dorjee only never show the tea project is. The dog go about some to massage. Never show a rejected and Jersey, me going. Don't share Gaden. That not young, that are songs. Tadebadi said. Koa Chamni, Mindo not the Tojin, Dubajia, Medo La. Keva Tadeka so the Shanju Simba, Sebe Domba Sungni. Song again Langja, Tadunti Midisho, Nijula, Juba Sheba, Deta with me, Shindu Mirigwe. Tasheba Wushi, Da Niji, Daniji, Dani La Mene, Tan Tap Jenija, Dada. She never did the Yin Jung, Yumi Junga, did a beba show she using do Sambi Gone, Shinji Dombe, Pemba Chabo Donga de Yusum dance, Donzun Yiga Sami, going Niva Chirjuvala. Beba shows or did that you were children to Kadis and Beba Kadis was this will Corsa, the Darsa Be Teta Beba Tenzin number so unless Yevashuna, the tragedy, the dog over the Maze, Koran Tenzin number so the tragedy of Maze, and the engine Yevashun Shava Telebe, Jeva Tavogeni, or Telebe Misuba Dogeni, and the Sisi Domba Yashuk Jenny. Tangaman and Belegat with the Garmasin Tanda Joshi, Koyan, Dungam Yotama, Nun David Tandoyan, the next day of the Sheta Dujaris and so be that Mirror to pass in the South Subsin. Tiny Bay Changes about Domba that the Bay cannot more say that Davi Yantaba Songos and the Bay any Simju Chabo Jenny. O tira samo tonse any nyambo gongo tese korta kanjisi wasara.
Stanza 73 reads, each time something unwholesome occurs, I should criticize myself and then contemplate for a long time that I shall never let this happen again, unquote. So Geshe-la's reading of the commentary and explanation pertains to that stanza. And so we are kind of watching our mind, and we know that afflictive emotion could arise in our mind, laziness can pop up, this other, negativities and faults can pop up. So when we are not mindful of our own practice, isn't it? When mindfulness and introspection are down, so to speak, then there is every possibility that these other things can rear their heads in our practice and disrupt us, isn't it? So which means we have to, how should I say, maintain or bruise up our mindfulness practice, and introspection so that we're able to continue our practice uninterruptedly. So to do that, this is the kind of thinking we could engage in. And as Geshe explained, should any fault arises in my practice of meditation, I can see that I really regret for doing this thing over and again, and no wonder, right? I happen still in samsara because this is what I keep on doing it, and so this is very unbecoming. Right now, I'm so fortunate that I have committed myself to Bodhisattva practice, isn't it? And then having made that progress, I'm really not, I'm staying mindful of my practice. I find myself kind of being attracted by the opposites of the Bodhisattva practice. I'm just transgressing or in that direction, inclined towards, And how can I let myself do that? That's so unbecoming, isn't it? So engaging in self-critiquing. Okay, I changed the word criticism to critique. Self-critiquing is a good thing. How can I do that? If I keep on doing this, I will be in samsara forever, right? And this is a great opportunity I have, and so therefore I need to buckle up. That I shouldn't let my mindfulness down, my introspection down, and I regret for letting this happen over and again all this time, and now no more. I won't let it happen anymore, right? And then at the same time, we make this resolution. We regret for our mistakes. This is part of confession, as we all know, practice, purification. Then we also firmly resolve that I'm not going to let this pattern, right, over and again continue to do this. Okay, so that resolution is very important, part of our applying antidotes.
Tola cheber tade kaps shangshu simbe domba sone songwa ke langjang tadung ti midisho nyejol jo bar cheber ditabu ni shindu mirikbe ta sheba wo he dani je dani la menes mene tani tabji ni jang da la se shinyeba ditabu ta miji mijunga 대단 매바 샤오시에 유령도 사베고네세 신제 넘베 펜바다 신제 넘베 펜바 때 교수단서 도스니가 상에 고네스 아니 예바 치르 추바데 매바 샤오시 어디다 니모 또시 상하시고와 땡이다 다 니모 고지와 또 그라 니와라도 저 또시 tiger yoro di jedo di juba te mena juba me wa ene sina ene pento maris sa kadum lama zu song ji me de ji de kharsa kasa di kharsa digdun juba me sha pasa 동배 gentab shivanis ene dadum khodi shanenis maga siu shuba chen sijo lagwa sijo ti pen jil daj po na daj sozo lu so en daj shad khobe na daj tumi zidi na ene khobe daj tumudi ma tong ya tabi ma ye daj ja ju ma de ya da da ya siu de chung so sijo da khobe ya wa khobe daj ko shiru ro sijo ti chi chi wa ri 이제 예수님 예보 소리 당 그러세요. 어디 계세요? 자. 어디서는 쇼를 어디 가서 됐어도.
That was very profound and beautiful. Geshe recited the Kadamba Master's poetic spiritual expression or realization there. So as Geshe explained that as a part of our confession or the purification practice here, we all know that for our purification or confession practice, in Tibetan it's called Shakdom, for it to be effective and successful, we have to integrate what is called the four powerful antidotes, Nyembo Topshi, isn't it? There is the power of the reliance of what we call objects, my footnote, refuge, and bodhicitta, footnote close, and there could be others, right? And then the power of contrition or regret, right? That's so important. We have to sincerely feel contrition for the wrong things we have done. That is essential part of purification, okay? If you don't feel that, if that's a lip service, then purification is going to be lip service anyway. And then we apply antidotes, right, to different kinds of antidotes to purify, counteract our negativities. Third one. Then the fourth one is the power of resolution, that we will say we will do our best not to repeat it over and again, isn't it? So these are the four essential elements of purification practice we call Nyenpo Topshi, the four powerful antidotes. And among them, in this particular stanza, emphasis is put on the power of regret, contrition, and the power of resolution. Yeah, these two things must together, right, as a part of our purification practice. And as Geshe has very beautifully quoted from his memory what the great Kadamba master have said. I wish I could quote that in English, such a poetic, beautiful, profound, but I can't. I don't think anybody can, actually, on the spot, in another language. Anyways, the meaning is this. The Kadamba Geshe said that when you're doing your purification practice, if you lack contrition or regret for the negativities, even if you're trying to seal your practice with emptiness, right, shunyata, it's not going to work. The example they have given is that, you got, hit by a poison arrow, right, and the head is broken inside your flesh or the bone, right? So instead of taking that poison piece out, you are just kind of putting ointment and cream on the outside to heal the wound outside. So that's a very beautiful wound, but because the poison is inside, it can still harm you, isn't it? So having no regret for negativities, but trying to think about emptiness and try to seal the practice of emptiness it's not going to work. But that's very said beautifully by Kadamba masters in the spiritual poetic expressions. Yeah.
Ka mewa tang chungna shir chebe chedu paayiba goni se tenshi surlang de se nyembo tenpa la jugbe tab shitar shena nikab neda la meme go bar jime ki tenpa tang Hihi compagnie de Njoroche, Yang Sembe, Ju Kulungam, Kulung Jundi, Diene, Keno da, Chua Sang Basaba Jeva, Namda, Mount Teba, Denu Song Reba Jevas, Sewala, Kevata, Gaveshin Tang, Give trouble Churbe, Jibu Taba the Cheva, Shivam. Tada trade to Tanda trade to Majang. Tedaki Dambadang, just Damba, Narangi, Tushing, Neva Nam DNS, Miribe Nizu, Yambo Riking, Tebes, Gaves, Lee Chavajane, Dujing, Javajan Dujing, Tony Neve, Gone, Nevasuanam, Shirshabata, Mizu, the chain sheet of the top there. Junzas you Chevajan now la say, you Chevajan now la temper shows and Jason to Rigbel Lene, Dambata, Jesu Dambata, Tuan and Dame say, Chili Shin Shing, Chili Shin Shing, Tobanum, Juvan Deva, show here, so then. Not Kimbo just Dembatan, he saw Chamber Jerry, get them at the Jala. They are giving the Nyawani tea, Damgata, just Demo Tiba tea, Chibaton, Latini, Daja Tadu, Chishim, Nebe, Sherry, you Jerry, a cup minutos. What he did, Tapsi, you have few curries and what I never says a change, he said, because Shantideva because Geshe or this or that Payu said, Shantideva Payu said, and never never show at the Haya, Tanzan, Shinju, never measure, Ganga Shantideva, Lazala, Hagona, any court, never the Lamsa, no Shon. This is what Nimu never said, Nemo Yakor Dentona. In court, lazy party, Pama to Chisana, and Zuzako, Koyangjo top Gaden to land on Yangjo Yungumaris. Gonza Tame Big Dasajina, Linji for Pamtana, Yanko, Lumba Shanda Ching, Pongo de Troji, Yangjo top Gaden, Yangjo Sugonia, so never she was your. But the news at the departure, Tambo the Yabus Banan Tona, and then the Yangjo to La Yomers, Tinimo, whichever is her.
So the Geshe-la's reading of the commentary and explanation pertains to stanzas 74 and 75. I'll read them together and then translate the explanation given. Likewise, in all these situations, I shall acquaint myself with mindfulness. With this motivation as a cause, I shall aspire to meet with teachers or accomplish the tasks they assign me. In order to have strength for everything, I should recall before undertaking any action the advice in the chapter on conscientiousness or carefulness. Right? I always have to use too many words to translate that Tibetan word pagyu. And then joyfully rise to the task. Unquote. So as Geshe explained, that these three things we often mention: Tenba, mindfulness; Sheshin, introspection; Pagyu, conscientiousness or carefulness or vigilance, right? This is all I can think of, the translations. These three things are essential for our practice. When these three things are not present in our practice or they diminish, mindfulness, introspection, and carefulness, our practice also declines and suffers. When these three things are very perky, so to speak, our practice is very good, So therefore, we have to, do everything to cultivate the causes to enhance, to generate, to enhance and maintain mindfulness, introspection, and carefulness. Okay, Pagyu, Chenshi Pagyu. So one of the ways to do that is, of course, we try to recall the instructions we have received on this from our gurus, isn't it? That's a very important part of it, right? If you forget our teachings, then that's nothing. Recalling those teachings. One of the good news about, negativity, delusion included is, once we succeed to subdue them or to, get rid of them, right, they never return. Okay? So unlike our ordinary enemies, the ordinary enemies we can defeat today, and then they move to another location, another country, and then they regain their resources and power, and then they do all their networking, and then they'll come back, right? Whereas afflict emotions, once they're defeated, they're defeated. There's no such things as they will recruit again and come back, right? So that's one good news about negativity. So we, should master our, courage and mindfulness, introspection, vigilance, and defeat it. Once we defeat it, it's defeated for good. They cannot come back again.
我对他朋友说的，可是他，七星的陈先生朋友说的，可是他年龄早晚的时候，我第是在陈先生们那样嘛，我看见，先生们为什么的把是老多旁边看着，老多旁边可出现的时就我跟上救助了，是吧？陈先生都是没呢。 이 본바 비티 되셔 좀 쇼거든 이래서 그 가지고는 거의 살아요 말아 뭐 돈도 그러와 제가 들야 전시 있어야 계시게 됩니다 저거라 제가 티 돈달라 이 어디서 그래서 세월다 가서 이 조상보다 계획신이다 이는 소득이 나가 전부 다 어디에다 탑이 거기 건다 좀 하잖아 왜 니모 젠왜 니 가서 니에바다 계획생지 편요지 드려야 랑도를 남셔야 되게돼야 소득이 뭐 돼야 되는데 계산하던 지로 왔으면 소득 근데 초보 쇼도로 들어다 얘네 계획신이로 어때는 엔드게 인지면지 시작을 했어 드레시는 니모 그 가서 계획 깜미 그 가토도 지금 제가 깜매버 저 따고 드려 있는 거 상호동지 아니 생기 계획을 해서 왔다你们这个搞的没有系统嘛？的，现在生育开始钱了，就是把这生育你把钱了，大概开用嘛是呢，可是你把收入了，可是现在这个小个上学什么人呢？其他什么上呢？生育可能养人多啊，我说我第四个他。
So Geshe explained that those three things we mentioned earlier, Chenpa, mindfulness, Sheshin, introspection, Bhagya, carefulness or vigilance, conscientiousness, these are essential or fundamental to any practice that we do. When these things are not there, our practice is going to suffer, right? There is no surprise there. But if these things are present, then our practice can be very qualitative and successful. So if we do practice without mindfulness and introspection, it is just like we are trying to pour water into a leaky pot. We will never, fill it. We just keep feeling it just goes out of the bottom, and then we keep feeling it goes out. It's just like that. A practice without mindfulness and introspection is trying to fill up a bottomless pot, right? It's never going to be filled, And so that tells us the importance of mindfulness and introspection in our practice. And so to bring them in our practice, there are many ways to think. As we mentioned earlier, it's good to be in the company of our gurus or to think about them, It's good to bring to our mind their teachings, right, instructions that will help us to, spruce up our mindfulness, introspection, and all of that. It's good to be in the company of Dharma friends, right? The Dharma friends, supportive, virtuous friends, right? That helps us to be mindful and introspective. And it's good to reflect on the benefits of practice, because then that will just wake us up and be very joyful, while we are in practice. And so in all those ways, we can bring mindfulness, introspection, and awareness into our practice. So it's not only that we maintain them in the practice, but we also set up a strong motivation, penpa, that we will do this, keep on doing it, right, in the future or as we continue our practice.
我这是他你们也新年对吧？那做上不都做吧？我做大把的就是别你别说不得，你这样就终究没事给谁？我这个刚刚是的，给做的，给新年年下的，你做别上不什么就这样的。我就是刚刚的开始生的是。 全部东西叫人呢， 유케와제레스 콘조 야보 요소는 가르쳐면서 랍자자다 서로 강양양티 에디 디베니밀다 게피가 랍산랑서 에선 샤고여서 에네 가르사 공자죠 다서모 렌제죠 가르사모 단스 강가에 숙셔부 지고 세다 숙자인서 어디게 초상부터 비 에디 게외 초도 줘봐 게외 신이 때봐 에네 당가도 사모동야 어디가 배 준들이라 돼야 될 에니 가르사디 인스 년부터 되게 탑시로 약속이 되게 있어다 미지가 마이는 년부터 하여 말어 랑도 신고 해야 되는데 당하고 어디에 신신 쇼고 제가 사람 에니 당화 년부터 저 약부터야다 어디서도 강가배 단다 되리다 년부터 되게 탑 약속이 되게 있어다
So some of the best ways to generate powerful antidotes are the things we already mentioned, that to rely upon qualified gurus, right? And listen to their teachings. Without learning, even if we say, yeah, I want to apply antidotes, what are we going to apply? There's nothing, what antidote? And then, of course, we have to bring the antidotes into the mind in a given situation. That's where it's really needed, right? And so the things we mentioned earlier, that for us to be able to, continue our practice effectively and qualitatively and successfully, I don't know in whatever ways I can say it, we need to bring mindfulness, introspection, and vigilance. But for this, we need to rely upon qualified spiritual gurus. We need, the support of Dharma friends, because Dharma friends can remind us, isn't it? Right? They can, remind us about the advice or the teaching we have received. And then the instructions are very important here. So in that way, that whatever is our practice we are thinking, then our thinking can have the power to counteract the situation, isn't it? And we cannot say that we will never give any opportunity to the delusions to arise. That's almost impossible as ordinary people, isn't it? Delusions are there all the time. But what we're saying is that in every situation, delusions pop up. I'm going to be there too with the mindfulness, introspection, and vigilance, isn't it? But doing that, at least the delusions face some challenge, isn't it? And they cannot just have a freedom and whatever they want to do because I'm there with you, right? So at least we can minimize the delusion, or we can, if successful, knock it out. But if you never think that way, then delusions have a field day, that okay, it's just, I can do whatever I like. And so that's not what we want. So that's what Geshe, it's not like by making this commitments practice, we're not saying, I will never let delusions pop out in the mind. No, that's not, it will. But what we're saying is when it pops up, I will notice it and I will try to counteract it.
어제 가서 대다게 가서 렌제 냠렌지 티드셔네세 중화 계셔 송소세 어디다 시대 기본 정도 흉우 토모 쇼리고로다 가서 티제시네 기본 흉우 토모 렌제다 처음부터 주셔로 정도 토모들 다 코에님이 주셔로 또 tumu mayo tebe sumitayo de sangi go to ya to somsha do shewor shi da di jibu shungu ko ji da chogo ni rewo ya shi da jibu shungu chogo di karsa hinro zo mo da jibu dengi lam ja tumu ja marwa te ma ja da jibu shungu lam ja marwa shi da dire karsa da da saje log ji ya ji me karsa se dele shi na chuba me sa ja shi da dire 기부 슝우 람디 메나스 쳇로 자마는 쉐바레 마리시오와 데니 카르사 코알 헤나 타 카르사 녜주메스 엔 코알 비게 껴요 치말 덴조 코마르지야 토니야 드리시기나 엔티 엔 녜주르 마리시 데니 다우동 리헤나 카르사 샤즈 메시오와 셰다 소지오 런지디 지고 지네 청주서 버리도 마리시 Tene tawa ken kar tawa message karja. Oshada de 现在这种的行业，像就是一种像是样子打什么这样的，三件个先把写的这样的，可是尽管是这个多，我第一次给这的。
So what we find in this couple of stanzas, we have looked at a lot of emphasis on the need to reflect on impermanence, death and dying, thinking about the law of karmic actions and results, isn't it? So these are usually, when we think in terms of the structure of the path of the three types of beings, right? We have path common with initial level practitioners, right? And then, so this is where we think about like refuge, impermanence, like that. We have path common with the intermediate level practitioners, where we think about the suffering of samsara and why samsara is not a happy place to be. If it's a place, which is not a situation, better to get out. And then, the path of Mahayana is to cultivate great compassion and altruism and all of that, isn't it? The thing is that, the path common with initial level practitioner is the foundation, isn't it? Without that strong foundation, we cannot really have, a good practice of the path common with intermediate level. So without that, we cannot have a very, successful practice of the advanced level practices, because these are all interconnected, isn't it? We build on the foundation and we build up. We are not going to build from top to down. Geshe didn't say that anyway, but that's my extra line there. So this is why it's really important for us to consider death and impermanence and the law of karmic action and results. And so the things we talked about here are, as Geshe reminds, that in the Sakya tradition of what the West call Tibetan Buddhism, they talk about the four what we call detachments, or like separating from four types of grasping, Shenpa Shital in Tibetan. Okay? And so Sakya said that if you are grasping at this life, attached to, then you are not a Dharma practitioner. Okay? Very clear with that. You are attached to this life, you are not a practitioner of Dharma. Sorry, they didn't say that, sorry, I added it. And if you love samsara, attached to samsara, then you will never have renunciation, aversion to misery in life, because you love samsara. It's just like, okay, I want to have a good rebirth, right? But still it's in samsara. Good rebirth is not outside samsara, isn't it? That's again. So there is no renunciation, because the renunciation means get out of samsara, not have another better rebirth, another rebirth, and keep doing that. Yeah? And if you are attached to your only selfish motives, right? You are egomaniac, then you will have no bodhicitta and altruism. You never think of becoming a bodhisattva if you are just self-centered and one selfish, whatever. Okay. Then the last one is Zimbachuna Tawamen. Then if you have the grasping, it's like grasping a duality, then you will never realize the non-duality. So these are called the four, sometimes, parting away instructions, or the four detachments, or something like that. In the Tibetan, the word is, Shenpa Shital. But this correlates with the three principal paths that Lama Tsongkhapa talks about, isn't it? Renunciation, bodhicitta, and wisdom gone beyond, isn't it? So all of these are connected, and so that's what Geshe said.
Dona Shansen ji khan la jungdo shawe se lawe ki tamje la likbar mek shewe theba mang de she de kong de shewa she ne se khan shewe thon nam la se sui hin de likbar la wa la se shono gu de nyambo chen shi tom de lo len be se tao dang chen yi yin sa je yun nam la se lo wa la se zong zhu zong go wa yin be se khan la zong zhu zong be ne ma no wa Ngunzeba Heche was. What did that? Don't see that dome Jovina? Charles Khan and Lava Shawi and near Kazis there is Tizoganga and the make Shevasena. Be Chevy Chawa Shevas or make Shevasena. Be robs the returns that Ching do Condes or Nezin Ocean, Ching do Tayabo Sham to say a Tiresor Mayan 그런 게 십자로 가서 쉐버쉐고리스 맥쉐버스는 티시 ene töba mangdu she deso töba chogoro ada ka töba men goma mita töba me goma ladum thal jibo dasla jama oti se goma yo marwa oti so da tanda ganzo de hajang tawa se duja de se go jude de oti se gorda hajang se ka gewa da miga kare ne be tokpa de samosa do yo war samota na ene 가르치다 코알 막 콜리스라 저때 누자제야 가르쳐 상어마다 있는 랑도하고 말아 랑도하 먹어서 기득방아 시야요 말아 기득방아 시야면 애들 집에 내도 제보다 탈바세요 상지 고마세요 지게자 거서 도르고 집에나 저 하자 따와드 잡제로 누자제야 기제로 트레셔 보라 어디래.
So all the things that we have talked about is really focused on the need to cultivate joyfulness, like in pursuing virtue, positive action, or practice. The Tibetan word is tsundu, right? I translate joyful effort, enthusiastic effort, and sometimes we run into effort problem in English. But tsundu in Tibetan. But to be able to really pursue joyfully whatever it is, the first thing is we have to learn it, right? Learn whatever our topic or practice inside out, right? The Tibetan word Geshe is mikchavanashin. Your eyes are open. You can see everything. It's not like I kind of know, then I kind of don't know, right? So that's not good enough, right? I kind of know and I kind of don't know the practice, but just like your eyes are open, you know inside out. Now you can joyfully pursue your practice, and that's the important thing. And to be able to learn everything inside out, listening, Thöba is so important, isn't it? When we talk about Thösam Komsum, listening, right, contemplation and meditation, what comes right in the beginning is listening. Without listening, we will have no learning. Without learning, try to become a meditator is, as it's said elsewhere, it's just like a handicapped person try to become a rock climber, right? It's not going to happen, So listening is essential, right, to be able to, for contemplation. Contemplation is essential to be able to do meditation. So these are very interconnected with each other. So because it's so important to learn Dharma, what we want to practice, the structure of the path leading to enlightenment, right? So we need our brain or the mind. Critical thinking is important, right? Don't stop thinking. This is why we come very hard on the Hoshang Mahayanas, like nothingness, no thinking philosophy, right? Not that we don't like him, but it's just, he said, don't think good, don't think bad, because good and bad thoughts keep you in samsara. So just stop thinking, then you will get out somehow. How can you get out without thinking at all? If we stop thinking altogether, then we will never learn about what are the things we need to get rid of, abandon, what are the things we need to adopt or practice, and we are never going to have any kind of practice of abandonment and adoption because we stop thinking, And then we don't know what path leads to enlightenment or out of samsara because we stop thinking, right? And so this is why we come hard on the Hoshang's philosophy of thinking nothingness, right? Thinking about nothing,
What is a karsa? Tenzin Dorjee ne na laba zongzhu zongguo wei yinbei, kang le zongzhu zongbi ne ma no wa se ngo se ba ke qiu da de ke xia zhi da,什个zongzhu lo de ka sa zongzhu long zhuo da, qiao nian xi se ji zhuo wa, bei na zai de cong jia zhu da long zhuo de bi xi 看这样子，我现在别写到头上用给所有的这乔跟写下去，我觉得这种中亚的里呀，可完做的亚个多，这个做这个鱼的浪多起啊的里呀，我写嘛的，开始我认识我的马诺啊，这我做让新年老板对不对？这样子的，他这别老有那忙不也是吧？我只刚刚种啥的呀，哪呢？ ene dege da peme do sha do go ka ji be nima salum shu ni la ba to be kam ni tire chia do 你看这边的很多说这样着，甚至这样着这样着，这个种种些萝卜小上是吧？现在过这个看啥，草啊这个没有是这个是这个意思话，真的，是吧？草啊就是那个中国这长不过这么才能没有这样这个是长样吧是吧？我这感觉。才年吧嘞，我没有是这样的招下的，这没得老是这样是吧
？So this whole chapter is about cultivating, maintaining, increasing zundu, joyful effort or enthusiasm, and but but before we really engage enthusiastically, joyfully in whatever. We really have to take time to investigate, understand what is something that we really want to dedicate our life into, isn't it? Because if we dedicate ourselves, even enthusiastically and joyfully, to the wrong practice of the path, or incomplete one, or the distorted one, then it's going to be really sad. It's a tragedy, isn't it? Geshe didn't say the tragedy, but it's sad. So that's why there's emphasis on finding what is that you want to practice and learning about it inside and out. Your eyes are open to it, right? Now you can enthusiastically pursue it. Otherwise, simply having determination and discipline is not enough, because we could have determination, discipline in the wrong one, and then at the end we realize we didn't achieve anything there. And there can be plenty of examples in the classic Buddhist texts. They talk about how certain practices suggested in some other faith, like out of faith, if you jump on the trident and kill yourself, poked, right, then you get moksha, then you are liberated. Well, yeah, and there are people who really are dear heart, they do that because they want the moksha. Well, sorry, it got on the wrong path, right? How can jumping on the trident and killing yourself will end up in a nirvana, right? Or that if you burn yourself to death or something as an offering, then you become liberated, like really, okay? Or that some suggest that if you stand on your one feet and you kind of pay all your full respect to the sun. I think it's called Surya Namaskar in Hindi. I think that's what you'll do. And your legs are going to get into pain and everything, but you bear it because then you think this will lead you to liberation? Probably not. Okay? So that's why we say it's important for us to study whatever practice you are interested in, know it well inside and out, and then once you find this is the right one, then dedicate it joyfully. Otherwise, right, we might end up in these other situations. And so from Dharma point of view, a lot of passion and interest we bring into the mundane activities is actually a form of we call laziness, isn't it? Like becoming very interested and very good in like doing business, right? Very good in dancing and singing and all of that. Now, amazing talents, we are not saying that, but from Dharma point of view, it's a distraction, isn't it? If you get all sucked into business and then that's all our passion and everything, that's not going to lead us to liberation and enlightenment. So that's why it's important for us to know those distinctions and make the right choices and then do the proper dedication and joyfulness engagement.
你把安就到的，你不到你安就，你把安就到呢，真的联系说的，得老是，律师律师认为村呢，真的是给外来上升有些话看了。究竟是专门写吧啦，写得了，毛修不我说呢，给外来看写话的他们些啦呢，总之的听都不要吧，就话得车写的是，我朋友留拉在那了，是那个水开了呢是，马老呢也把写话当。帮着你们弄了是，你找到最疼，得到给搞结是，搞结弄了，可能名字吧，年度单位甚至到结就结是，他们话弄全把写的是，律师给我了各种容易是，来了年纪，才能他们多年是， dāgī yēsī jīchēwā lōpa lā lūsū lēsū rūwa gōni sē dāngwā yāngwā shē nē sē zhōyō chūpa shāwō sē o dā tīrī dā tīrī khāsā dā nīpa āng jīwa tōp sē tīrī rē dō thāngbō tī nyēmbū tōp mā rē gā jīwa shē nē jā shē sō tō tsā chōchū tsā tī khāsī yā nā shī yā rō tē lā sē lūsū lēsū rūwa tsū nē现在的各类乡镇一些话看到看了就近专门些话那小娃子的得了后边我说呢各位来看小娃子他们呢总之就他们都有把人就话得才切都稍微切都俺朋友留拉家弄了是老古就当天上那马了呢Kēlāng nā mālā nī nyewā chewā tāng, pāngshā nīmō nāng lā sā rātā zū tāng, tētā kāchē nāng lā khur dū mēnzē bā jēn dū tāwē sā, sēm jī tōp jē zū jē sā, tā mō wā nāng chēn bā shē dē sā, lū sū gyawā lā kō dū rōng wē sā, lē lā ngēn jē, chā nāng tam jī ndō nī, dā jī jē sī jī wā lō bā lā, lū sū lē sū rō gō nā ndō dāngwā yāngwā shēni pōngyān chōpa chāwō sō tīr dā kārsa nīwa tō sā tēla kārsa dā tāndā tī pāyō dā tīzō līwū lhē tsā yī sī kāngchē pēni gyāwē pēyōng kārsa mī gyāwē nīmō tīzō kā tūshī nī sōng dā mī tā mē bā tī tā nīmō mē kyōng o tī kā pāyō līwū lī kōng tī hē tsā yī sī o tizā nā yī shē nē, sōsō sēm tīw tēzi, shūma rā jē nē, shūma mā jē shē nē, bē, tē shī gō rā sē, sēm kī tōp jē nē. Tī tē nū tū nī shī tōg rē, shē gō sā yā rī wā shē nē, kā tī sēm kī wā tī jē gō wā rā wā, o tī sēm kī wā tī mē nē, tē nī lē tō mā rā sī wā rā wā, o shē tā chī tā, tā tā ngō sī tē, mē tū tī shē nā, pā yu tā tī yōng gō tū, yā, 예외 표현다 리베 님 루루도 뭐뭐 해자서 어디게 전부 셔네 애들 라는 따서 와셔고 그랬어 어디서 왔다 가지
So at Geshe-la's I'm reading of the commentary explanation. It pertains to the concluding stanza. He didn't read the stanza yet. Stanza 76. And something I left from the previous explanation is, as we said, yes, we do need to engage in our practice joyfully or enthusiastically. But the first thing is we have to figure out whatever practice we want to do and make sure that is what is going to lead us to our goal, right? Because we do not want to dedicate ourselves into the wrong practice or the path, such thing. And we want to know what's the right antidote to our afflicting emotions, things like that. The example Geshe given earlier is like, say, if you're feeling very hot, right, and sitting near the fireplace is not the antidote, you're going to feel more hot. Then turn on the air conditioning, right? That's what helps, right? So like that, we have to know, right, what kind of antidote we need to use for whatever the defilement or the fault that we are dealing with. The next explanation given is about the need to, in every possible way, to feel really joyful about this opportunity we have to engage in the Bodhisattva practice, path, and actions. So basically, we are inspiring ourselves, thinking in every possible way that I would like to make my body and mind very serviceable, right, in following the Bodhisattva actions, okay? So that means, we want to think about that there will be a day that we will have this kind of full control over our practice where practicing is not going to be difficult and challenging, isn't it? Because of our body and mind have become very serviceable, isn't it? Very malleable, I don't know, whatever other words you can use to that. And so if somewhere we feel, how should I say, disappointed, or we feel like, okay, I can't do this, isn't that me, all that time, this is where we have to wake up, right? Why not me? Why can't I do it, right? What's wrong with me? What am I lacking, right? So we have to encourage ourselves, boost our spirit, confidence level. Yes, I can. There's no reason why I cannot. So to be able to do that, all the things we discussed in one of the previous chapters on Pagyu, carefulness, vigilance, conscientiousness, right? We talked about the benefits of all the positive actions and practices. We talked about all the downsides of the negativities and the bad migrations and all of those things. So those things should be brought to our mind to be able to encourage ourselves in doing the practice and I should say staying away from doing the wrong things. Okay? So as Geshe explained, that we have to, in every possible way, encourage ourselves and don't let ourselves down.
What is the course? Chamba said the Lucy go to Linga in Chena Tamji Donis. Danny Geshe Jawa Lucy, Little go and Doyan Shani, Joan Juba show. So the concept church is on this was a Gabu on the concept. She got the Casa Songa Gelto, Sergio Tiro, that Jeremy Shake, the Ringasidon Euro. Did you want to give us some? Levasal Guy in Razzo down even you say Joro. She said, could you in a chain, she not Gonjan and Harsida Bay, call your mobile pay tails on the Maiva. Kana you was sending in Jogurisua. What teacher was that river direction of the Benada, Chanzu Sebe, Chiva Logo, and he gave a Tamiso, or he won't go with his son. Today the son of Buzuta Juro. Today, when the call comes to Chu Magina, Kaji gave a tongue some say, well, doing what you were. So, Chu was that the year ago, give us a Dugon Sharawa. That's on this Vichua language, give a tongue some college and the college of Jumayora. So, today, some of the any gave a tongue some sauce out in any young college of Hana Chigmara. Who teaches what did some of the dark so Kazaka did some of Tonjoro. What did they say? And that's it, the young Gomja to Tuzu to Kana, start near doing a sent it. I did that. There was a big thought to do to come into Casejo. To do to come into some of the guns of me coming into Gunning never to show. But it just to do some of the any correct Kalimika, Sim Kuya was charger or did something. Because it's go cast and some of them will receive what it is.
Junju or joyful or enthusiasm in this context is defined as taking delight or feeling joyful in pursuing anything that is virtuous, right? Keva is virtuous, not like being joyful about doing the wrong thing or non-virtuous. It is defined in terms of being joyful about doing the positive things. And so as Geshe explained, that when we come into a study and practice of Dharma, right, we should do it very joyfully. Not like somebody obligated me to do this, or somebody's imposing me, requiring me to do this. So that's not happiness, joyfulness, isn't it? Nobody has to require us to study and practice Dharma, and even if they do, right, my footnote, who cares? I don't want to do that, as Geshe said. So we decided, we said, I see the benefit of Dharma, I want to pursue it, I want to study practice, right? So this is our own willingness, right? We decided, so therefore we should do it joyfully. But at times, maybe the joyful is not there present. That often happens. Then we have to think many other ways to be able to bring the joyfulness in our practice. Joyfulness is not a given thing, okay, when we do the practice. So as Geshe quoted from his memory, Lama Tsongkhapa, Jerubuchi, watching me from behind, in his commentary on the Guya Samaja practice, 5 stages, it's called Clear Light Commentary. Rima said, and there is this really very powerful line which Geshe quoted from his memory. This is, I feel so fortunate to have this moment and opportunity to be able to, right, do this practice. So when you feel fortunate, you feel joyful, isn't it? Right? How can you feel unhappy, when you feel so fortunate, right? So this is how we have to appreciate the great opportunities that we have found to be able to engage in study and practice of Dharma. That we have this opportunity and fortune to be able to follow the Bodhisattva's way of life or footsteps, and so bring all of those things to bring the joyfulness. And at sometimes you feel like, okay, practicing Dharma is challenging. I need to make a lot of effort, a lot of discipline, dedication. Well, we can do some kind of a relative comparisons, right? That even those who don't practice the Dharma, it's not necessary that their life is even easier, right? And even animals have their own lot of challenges. Sometimes their challenges are much bigger than ours. Our challenge is smaller compared to them. So through such comparison, then it brings different perspective, and we feel like, not bad at all, right? That kind of space, right, comes into the mind. Like people like practicing, like now, mind is not bad, right? So you have that relief, sense of relief and space in your mind. And sometimes we know in the Bodhisattva path, it's not necessarily going to be a very quick path, right? And sometimes we talk about how it may take three great countless eons to be Buddha. That is a long, long time, right? And thinking about that, somebody can get exhausted, like, oh my gosh, are you kidding? 3 great countless eons, right? But we want to counteract that thinking in other way, right? It doesn't mean by engaging in the Bodhisattva practice that the time gets longer to reach enlightenment or something, right? Whether we practice or not, the time will continue, right? 3 great countless time will persist. It's not contingent upon Bodhisattva, because now we decided to be Bodhisattva practice, now time is going to be long to reach there. No. Okay. So as a matter of fact, by engaging in the Bodhisattva practice sincerely and actually, it may not take 3 great eons, right? So this is how we always want to counteract our mental limitations and disappointment by some positive way of thinking.
And
Geshe would like to stop there, and we welcome your questions. Maybe first we go to Zoom online, and then we come back.
The first question says, please explain the differences in the meanings of these terms. So there are 4 terms: Dharmakaya, Dharmadhatu, Swabhava, and Buddha nature.
Dharmadhatu, Dharmakaya, Swabhava,
and Buddha nature.
Buddha nature, okay. That indeed, when the Tanya Rovichresha, the country share Rovagin, Tajeton Rovagin, country Tango share the get the something that sick Rovagin, the Tonda of the Sumo Chase again, Shugu your Rovagin, Shugus and a Karalagores and Dharmakaya, Shugu and a Karalagores, Shugu,
Chugu said, Dharma Kasigo.
The car scores around, the Tonda scores.
Shugu said, says order. Shugu Sugusia, the Saji, the Shugu Sunji Saji, or did not Shibet had the Shugusi or Sugu Subu said, Kudu Sunju do any Shibet had the Shugus.
Namje loves and fish and the Roa.
Namje that Toda main car, Namje the Shuguchi Warda.
Loves and the Rose. Chicks at Rovagata, then a Chuji Ying says your Rovagan. Dharma Dadus and a Karlagores again.
A Joy Yings and the Chings and Yings and the Jigwater show that Karsa. Korog new to the in show Yings.
Also, then again, Rangshins and a Karasagora, Swabhava.
Ali Rangshins. This is that Jew Karsba son, my court Tomba is very Rangis, you get to jail Rangshins over that.
Also, then a Sanjay Rick can Buddha nature Sanagala words again.
La
Sanjay Rick.
Ali Sanjay Rick said this over that. That is our check of the water. Carson, the Sanjay Rick that this over that. Chimasam Yurangil Mashuba, we Cherun the Sanjay Rick over. What is that? Rick is the Koya. Bezon in the Kosaja, Yarisi, quite the jet of the York said, the Sanjay Rigs over that.
No, so. Okay, now I'll come back. So all the terms you have given us except the Buddha nature, which is English, are Sanskrit terms. So I had to translate them back in Tibetan to Keshila so that he can explain. And so the Dharma Dhatu, the Dharmakaya, is, when we talk about enlightened beings, right? We talk about enlightened bodies, and so we often talk about enlightened form body, Rupakaya. That's something visible, right? An emanation body, Shakyamuni Buddha, my footnote, right? That's what. And the Dharmakaya is usually the enlightened body, which is more related to the cognitive aspect of the enlightenment. Okay? And probably we could use the omniscient mind, Namkhen, right? That is a Dharmakaya too. Okay? So hopefully that clears one. The Dharma Dhatu, in English I can translate as Dhatu is a sphere of reality. So this is talking about how things actually exist, right? The mode of the existence of things. Yeah? That's Dharma Dhatu. Swabhava is nature. Usually when we think about nature, it has many meanings. One is that something not artificially created, something very natural. That's called Swabhava. Okay? And then the Buddha nature, which is really important, right here, is we can explain in many ways, but we usually translate as the Buddha seat, the Buddha potentiality, the Buddha resource. The way Geshe explained is this, that all the defilements, afflictive emotions, the way we talk about, which are very hard to get rid of, they have not contaminated the very nature of our mind. Okay? These defilements, however nasty they are, Geshe didn't say they're nasty, I added it. These are advantageous, isn't it? And so therefore, our mind can be separated from these defilements, right? So our mind has the ability, the characteristic to be able to be separated from all these defilements. So that's what we call Buddha nature. So that means we have every hope to become a Buddha, isn't it? Yeah, so hopefully, okay, now I did all of that, right? Yeah.
Thank you. There's another question from the same person.
Yeah.
The Jataka tales describe many previous incarnations of Buddha Shakyamuni.
Mm-hmm.
How can that fit with the concept that Buddha Shakyamuni was a Nirmanakaya emanation of an unnamed Buddha and not a person who was reincarnating?
So okay, the question is there a story of Buddha Shakyamuni in the Jataka Mala? Is that what it is?
I think this person is just referencing the Jataka Mala, saying, because we know that that's a collection of stories of Buddha Shakyamuni's past lives. So on that basis, this person's trying to understand something they see as a potential conflict there. So the question is, knowing that those are stories of the incarnations, how does that fit with the concept that Buddha Shakyamuni was a Nirmanakaya emanation of an unnamed Buddha and not a person who was reincarnating?
Okay. Not a person. That seems to be interesting. Not a person. I have to write it down. Not a person who is reincarnating. Okay. Condition the dirisha the mid rangza red wagen. Tanda nganzu di rowagen karso re tembegi kerab yor wagen. Kerab di ta ta tembagi ku jingema mongbo lugu imbe ke wagen. Ta kurangi da de gyalta res tongo yor da swaden go wagen. 다자 템바디 에네 가르소고레 초고 주고레 시기도 스러와게 초고 주고 이베이나 상게 다체 매버지기 다 초고 주고레 시기도 스러와 디 이베이나 안 다자 템발이야 안에 디레 다다디 깨람난 루규 망고 저러와게 디 용시기 말와 컨데스 레스 거러와게 그런 개발 스톤 거다 러와게 괜세서게
그래서
다자 템바디 초고 주고레 시기도 스러와게 초고 주고서 상게 rather check him she could chop to the Sigdus Roge. The Imbaina and the Taja Tamba the Kansa Cheta, but Chikivaling in Mares Roge. Chitikala Tanda di Kerab Nalia Taja Tembe, Kuti Magushe, and the Yoshing Maras, that could Gelta Stungus Roge.
The show to say now, Chita gets a Jamarda, show to say not the Recorsa. Tugu Lungu Tugu, Kaja Tugu, Lungu, Tugu, any sword to say, Tugu some Shevara. Till yard in it. Lungu said the Shartse Papa was a Jeto Marva. That did was so Julie that Jeta to Sukurakpatenia and the Shadosia, the Echo show to the Sanjing Sudene. They are Kujulas and show to Gusior. That has Geshe in the Shartse, there was a Tamil to the George to Gusigura. That's not the show to go. Sanjing Sudera, Sansa gave Sudan and she is that the show to go.
That under the Kera Nalia, Taja Tembachi,
They nobody in the top the Sanjay Marisi. And Joa Mambo, John did she was, what they now that the Sanjay Gerasiva. Chauju comes.
Law, Chanju
Chivago, Chauju comes.
The Sanje Diga Kera now, but the Taja Tamba Sanje, Naker the Sigum Ding in Sigo.
So much you could
Did the Sigo, the Samajim. Okay. Chituko Gelda gay Yomas.
Yo, take Yamarada. Toma Conderson, top the guy, Jerry, the Mari. It did a long that consumes Yashi or the Gangashi to Mara. That interesting on the Kera to the Shigara.
So hopefully this will clear some of the doubts or questions you might have, or you can ask question again. So all the life stories in the Jataka Mala, the garland life stories of the Buddha, that's how we translate it in English. Maybe there's, we shouldn't say the garland life stories of the Buddha. Maybe that's what the confusing part. Garland life stories, period, get up. Jataka Mala, those are the life stories of Buddha before he was Buddha, previous lives, when he was a Bodhisattva, right? So he did not become Buddha overnight, because he was a Bodhisattva, he's on the path, he faced a lot of challenges, then he this rebirth, he takes that rebirth, right? So the Jataka Mala stories is about before Shakyamuni Buddha, right? Was a Buddha, right? So that was a no Buddha life story, let me put that way. Now we say Shakyamuni Buddha came as supreme emanation, right, form, yeah? Because there are different types of, bodies. And so that's a particular way of understanding Buddha emanation, right? Not every Buddha emanation is a supreme emanation necessarily, because Buddha can come in other forms too, some other emanations. Some prominent ones we talk about is Sambhogakaya, complete enjoyment body, or I like to translate complete body. But this is the Buddha form only that is perceptible to the Arya Bodhisattvas. Who is no Arya Bodhisattva cannot see such Sambhogakayas. So you and I can see it. So we want to see Buddha. Well, that's how Buddha appears in a supreme Nirmanakaya form, right? That's what the Shakyamuni Buddha we recognize. Okay? Yeah. So hopefully that resolves whatever contradiction you might be thinking about there between the Jataka stories and the Shakyamuni Buddha.
The Ari Sindhi Divina. Ari Sindhi said that Yondesha will get us with the Oro. Kotama Kardisan, Tama Chunjun in the latter Chunjun. Did that ring about to what you say? Tirachia, Torotone, in the Costello Showers, Ajoro. Oh, this was so you just did that.
So Geshe would like to give an example of Jataka Mala stories about Buddha. This is like American president, whoever, right? We're not talking President Joe Biden right now. Okay? American president in general, right? Nobody becomes president overnight. Okay, so first you are born, then you go to kindergarten, then you go to what's this? Middle school, high school, college, whatever. Through all that education, then you are in politics, then you do this. Then someday you become president, isn't it? So then we want to know the story of American president, so you have to go back to write all of that, right? What did you do, right? I mean, did you flip the hamburger? No, he didn't say that. I mean, that is part of the life story, right? Like that. So Jataka Mala is that story of before Buddha, become Buddha.
So I just had a quick question. In the Lamrim Chenmo, I was only familiar with the terms mindfulness and vigilance, but you use mindfulness, introspection, and
Yes.
vigilance. Can you explain the difference between these?
All this, yeah. Kurangi lamrim lo de ga ge nganzo di namju koya di shons temba dang phayo ni derwa ge shishin sing ko kom duwa ro ta nganzo namju ten shishin phayo sum lab de ga ro ge dige sum di yawa shero na sa temba la na kar se go re shishin la na kala go re phayo la na kala go re
phayo에서는 내려서다. 소소소도 내가 가려는데 소소 상원도 그 양해도 가려도 대다 카도 하고야 저부터 phayo에서다. 야, 누가 가르치는데 카도 왜 나한테 지기도 해야 돼 phayo에서다.
temba sana
라
temba
쳔바에
no
쳔바스나 다 쳔바사도 나도 예마시야 되게 쳔바 요리 마모바 쳔야 요리 쳔바스나 다 들데 힘을 다서 지금 예마 들에 시에서 다 마모 들에 연구다서 삼로 코리아 개발지를 쳔바스라다
no shishin
시시에서 드서 잘하신 거다 가르치고 소소 가르치고 딱지신 거죠 그 누자시와 하고야다 야가서 야가 하고야 되게 지금 소소도 야 하고야 해야 야 시바지요로 뭐 되게 희신스거다
ke nganzo tande pebe tanye temba se de ro ge 다다 wal이야 죽을 왜긴 단단 게 temba se de ke wange ma tende 그런 마음 버 텐 딘데 라 ro ge
어래
단다 배나 가 검을 시게 있는 로 ge 뉴구디 간 로 ge 셈데 텐데 로 ge
라
뉴구디 간 셈데 샤샤 로 ge
어래
디 temba lag 말게
아데 누구를 섭대는 쳔바스가 왔다 누구 니래 독사하지로 시소다
디 temba 디 kalā wada nyūgu di dzimba tsam chigo rima da chī nyūgu chēn lāndi da chī chēn skē yamara da kalā wada di kī
쳔세나 더 맞에 섬는 쳔바스가 왔다 거지 근데 공유도 미제 맞에 쳔바스기도 와 더 밑에 가셔 디고 다가는 섬는 샤터는 쳔바스가 와
다 디긴 다 디다 파요니 간데 야와죠 다 간데 nyūgu di 단다게 셈된 첸데
파요세야
다 파요라 정 nyūgu
파요세야는 됐어 왔다 뉴구디 비게 다다 가지고라 니들로 하먹어 가르치다 하먹어야 될 가르쳐 파요로 와
파요는 nyūgu ngōshime de 쓰고
파요에서는 다 되지고요 딱지 소소소도 비게 가르치고 하고야 될 다다 가르치고도 되시야 파요 좀 쓰고 갖다 됐어거지 심 많이 못해 파요에서 갖다 소도 카도 양에도 가르치도 거 야가시도 노시 전토야 저러 어tel 파요에서 갖다
There's can say but again you were season rawage you would the same gi malo beji de temperature rawage da payos do gala you would you imong washin de sigoroge
라
payos do you would imong washin de
파요에서 됐어는 됐어다 다 누구를 되게 셈데 мя제베 셈을 샤 파요로 파요에서 되더라 제시도 파요 소소소 셈 많이 봐 소소 가르치고요 그게 셈 많이 못해 파요에서 왔다 거지
same mind but they can tembe chele marale
라
same mind but they can tembe gi chele chade marale
가자 셈 많이 봐 시야지요 전바코로 셈 많이 봐 지게데 전바스기로 셈 많이 봐 시야 탑시로 지금 많이 봐 전바미고 네 토야 지금 요 말이래 때려 됐어다 파요 셈이 그 현다 사고 거기에 미든 라도로 그 방면에서 그러 파요 뒤에도 미든 셈이 샤도 정으로 파요면 셈 미든 샤도 말고 셈 가르치고 하고 말고
al same go kariskum hago no okay let me try that I think I'm not really getting clear distinction in my mind as I use my pen to see what the distinction the challenge I have is trying to get a clear sense of the difference between mindfulness and what we call pagir, right? Carefulness, right? Introspection is easy to understand. So the way Geshe explained, of course, mindfulness, usually they explain in terms of recollection, right? Remembering what you did in the past, or maybe something like that. That's part one. But then I said here, when we talk about meditation, mindfulness is not something about the past, but it's present moment, right? Just holding on to your object of meditation, right? Don't letting it go. So that is also mindfulness, right? If I use the pen as my object of meditation, my mind is focused on it. I don't let it go, right? That's the mindfulness. Introspection is checking my mind if mind is still there or it got hijacked by something else. Are you with me? Introspection is Mr. Spy or Madam Spy, right? Checking are they there or not. Now the Paya, this I find it hard to translate here, is Geshe says it is the ability to know in the moment what's happening. That's how he said it, right? You know in the moment, like what are you doing? You're doing nothing or you're doing something, right? That ability. So for me, still I have a difficulty understanding the difference between mindfulness and the Pagya, Tibetan word.
Which is introspection?
No, sorry, the difference between Tenpa, mindfulness, and Pagya, which I translate as vigilance or carefulness, right? I still, because the Geshe explained the Pagya, carefulness and vigilance as ability to know in the moment what we are doing or not doing, our mind, right? That's how he explained it. Yeah. So hopefully it will become clear another time, yeah.
So I have a question. As I was curious, I thought in today's teaching I heard a discussion of, or a mention of mental continuum and the Pramanavartika. Is that true? I mean, did I get that right?
Oh yeah, mental continuum, and you mean valid cognition? No.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
yes.
So my question is there a discussion of the mental continuum in the Pramanavartika?
Is there a discussion of that?
Uh-huh.
Sure. Yeah. Alamorang this go again. That again on the did a job medicine that you would think that tomorrow lambda that lende that you love again. The lende is to gonna she so na mami ship na she mare then it go the love again. Yawa that go gun same gun to go away. So that did a dish and the same gun near the gang the nam day soon again. So the nam day soon now ya same gun again. Watching the children to then they call them a Geshe Phuntsok or Yamaris for it. Nam day now.
Nam day now. Sem gamma yo the joke, Joanga yo, Naman Duazo, Joanga yo. La.
Namden alia, same Joanga to do the same Joanga, Tada, and Shima to be tuned to.
What is it? That's him, Kayi and Tada Joji, the same Tada Josh, and the Yashi to the marriage, Gama Yomar says Yomarvi. What he got a marriage, same JJ, you image Yongo, what did you at the car? Namde Joanga should do my silver. What did you must such a penna? Kayi and Tada Shis on the same marriage to Sajura. Tari Tambo Javis, Ima Yomar says Yomare, what did they have said? Could you the Karishan Ima Yoko Moto? And Takasi Baga Ima Jews me, Takati Hing the door of the Shiva Yomar is called Gamo Jews Guru, etc.
Yeah, that's right. In the Pramanavartika or valid cognition, much of the focus is on, the mental continuum, how it existed, right, in the past, and then continues here into the future. Because some, philosophical standpoint might say that, mind has randomly appeared when you're born as a human being, isn't it? When you die, then it stops there. But that's not what it is, right? The Pramanavartika says that, for the consciousness and the mental continuum to exist, there has to be previous moments of continuum, there has to be later moments of continuum, and so animate objects cannot overnight, or not even overnight, can never become a mind, right? They don't have that. So it does, yes. In other words, the short form answer is yes, Pramanavartika deals with mental continuum.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So Geshe said that defilements can be separated from the essential, from the mind, or maybe he said the essential nature of the mind. But anyway, let's say from the mind. But defilements themselves are mind.
Alokana disigo that again on the Sanji Rikshi to Galia and it Chima de the same Karsore, Mola Juyo Marco, Lobo Borella Rovage, same that Chimani Yavache is the Kalchida and in Yomokana, same Chado Marveso again. The same game Karsore, the Kates, the same game, one Kate, those Kariscos that the chase as your again. Some the Kates said again.
Some Kates are some side, the same time, same amount of Yorua. this is the same chase. Same amount of tele that you move to Yamto Sunday to the cop Peugeot of what you've done. This is what because the that this year the Namsha doesn't do it. No, the quiet nigga Karasena, this because the same Kora Karasena, Reka would Chapa Mevanashi is Urta. And Chapa Mevanashi as I call Ya Tsonda Remoria Botina and the Corina Shagars. And Koya Loving Petsia, the Tapsis, she I can. And the Corina Yomers, you have Yomers. And the quiet nigga is quiet. 야고서야 소유를 인다 쳐보서 대가나시 상한지에나 상한들 동인 가락에 짜도 참어서 수족사신 쪽쪽사신은 그 배도 좁아좁장 샤고리스 그 되네야 지들 맞음시 뇌제도 칼라서 소에는 그야 린다데 샤고리스 되네야 군다도 신이나 차세서 유서 샤고리스 어디 그런 배조 동사 잘 놓으리지. 무슨
That's but that they can reka with this same chidani imacharawagen. That and again this Dharma soya javis the dikazata lekana ge yavat shedi goro.
어, 다 레카 다 소소주 내가서 가려서 제가 곧 사우리베 총시 탑지 시대로 예 차고 그 배조가 왔다 저러와. 리나요 말이시요. 다들 남 공야야 장모신지 remote 자주시아서 야야야야 당서도 이 코리나 샤그리시거라.
제가 게 가서 녀몽 버데 셈게
다들 니모다 셈디 야 카셔 지다데 다 니모라데 셈중이 메차라 셈서는 조조다 그 유드네 베 데데 저러와 아마도 저 말에 어디르시고 녀몽 가 셈중 메차 버고 라 녀몽 셈중 메차고 샤데
okay, that would help. Yes, so where we said in terms of Buddha nature, right, the ability to be able to separate our mind from the defilement of afflicting emotions, you're right. I mean, definitionally, the defilements are also some kind of a mind. Actually, these are the mental factors, right? Defilements or nyonmong, kleshas are necessarily mental factors. When we talk about mind, it's the primary mind. Okay? And so these defilements have not kind of smushed or contaminated the very nature of the mind. And the example Geshe has given is, I think, from, I mean, he used this example before too. Two examples he gave. One is like, our primary mind is like a clean white cloth, isn't it? Now we can decide whether this cloth, the value of this depends on how we use it, right? And if you are a great artist, you use it as a canvas and draw a beautiful thing, the value will go up, isn't it? Or wash it, use it as a cloth, right? Now the value goes down, So it's like that. The defilements, we let them, negativities, we do positive, this are the issue. Or the other example given is that of like any metal. You can use the metal to make a pot, right? Something useful. And then you use the metal to make a statue of a Buddha. Now the value really increased so much, isn't it? Or you can use the metal to, for some, what is that thing you call in the people who cannot go to the restroom and you use something to clean their poops? What is that called? Huh? Yes, then the value goes down, right? So it's like that, so. I was going to say shitty pot, but then I made it up. But
oh, dear, that yes, the sound that record the budget did the Namsha was a long time. Didn't do what he judgment Namsha with Namshi or what he didn't do. She did then she did now doors to this word. Sound record was the best.
No, the sound video one.
Sound.
Yes, lucky me. I read that text recently. So the example that Geshe will give is it's not my cooked up examples. That example spoke to him. Right? It is coming from the great Indian master Naga Buddhist. This work on Guya Samaja called Namsha Rinpa, Stages of the Path, and Lama Tsongkhapa wrote a commentary on that. Right? So I was recently reading it, so that spoke to me too. So that's why he liked that example.
So does that mean that the Buddha has only main minds and is separate from all the mental factors? There are no mental factors in the Buddha's mind, or are they only the negative mental factors that are missing?
Oh, I see.
Or is it only main minds?
I see. Dagi kendi karso gore da nyumo da semni kate la roage. Sidi kalia da zosem chigo chen kate to gore yang di membe gi zosem kolia simju shamba yo roage.
Ore.
Dige kanga kate se gore yang simju mige be simju dige kanga kate se gore
Oh,
karso.
mige dir ya so ko ya nyam do ro. Do di ka the su.
That's right, all the negative ones, right? Because all the positive mental factors, they will evolve into enlightenment, right? All the negatives, yeah. So we will stop there today. I have a bunch of announcements to make and prayer requests too. Okay. Set out the Jamju Shue Yubage. Tango set out again, then the Chinda Trube 30 Kuis Anima Chorwage. Today, my young the Saja Shamash Dorjee Wage. Seek up the Majo Sunju Maviche. There comes on the chocolate padding and Konjugi Delia can Ramne chair the Wage. Or did Lave in Bage. The next Chinda Trube 30 Churu Sanima the young and Dirisha Carso and the Nejome Tanju Lane the Wage. This Sunju Maviche Wage. Then Carso or the Nenarwa. Lester Edward Melton second chief said, "Dear Leva Shakir Shikdwage, Salak or Tuma Jamjanarunasa." Then I'm saying any the joining it away or some Arwage, no answer. But then it's Sende Sobucheresharawage, Badur Gyeltsen Suran, Sarawage, what wrong with Tundachi Rodwa, So first I'll make the announcements and then prayer requests. So on June 9th, Sunday, we will have no regular teaching. Our freshly arrived the tour monks, 2.0 tour monks here, Shartse, they will be doing the blessing and consecration rituals at 10:30. And this is a great opportunity. They said if you would like to consecrate or bless your statues and the malas and the tangas and make the list long, bring them here so they will do that puja. Okay. So 10:30, June 9th, there is no regular teaching, but at the regular time, 10:30, they will do the consecration blessing ritual. So you can bring your statues, tangas, malas for blessing. June 16th, Sunday also, we will not have regular teaching because in the afternoon at 2, we will do Vajra Yogini self-empowerment. Last time we did Yamantaka, now this is turn for Vajra Yogini. Okay? And then tour monks, they are thinking of doing a sand mandala pretty soon. Not yet what particular mandala, so I'm just announcing coming soon near you. That kind of thing here. So they need that support, right? That, I have a very low context American. If I just give you information, you thought I give you information. They need a support. That's my head. They didn't say that, but prayer request. For 3 people who need healing. One is Lester Edward Melton going through brain surgery on Wednesday. So we would like to say prayers. Then our own Annie and Johnny, right, need healing prayers. And then one person is deceased, a Mongolian by the name of Badur Gyeltsen Suran. He passed away 1 week ago. So first we will do the Medicine Buddha mantra and dedication, then we will do the Avalokiteshvara mantra and dedication. Okay. Toje Gola Nyombe Jomde Senzo Deve Nyendro Dunge Se Tozone Se Sangye Mengye La Bindu Yaye Chaze Lo Teata Om Beshaji Beshaji Ma Beshaji Samogade So. Page 3. Lord Gyaltsen, Yudong Bega, Gyasa, Bove, Judo, Mimba, Tenba, Zinla, Chanye, Shukun, Wan De, Page 5. Mawan Dame, Gunyen, Donga, De, Tari, Jonso, Nida, Seze, Jamgun, Yawa, Yewa, Yase, Jonso, Dinze, Mabe, Shiva. Tenzin Dorjee, Jingbo, Zebe, Xie, Nihun, Shangzhu, Tenju, Longdo, Dongzhe, Bebe, Beiyun, Nuza, Gyaltsen, Gundo, Shabden, Tezang, Gondo, Shizu, Zombe, Yongzo, Yure, Tube, Nyage, Ushi, Longri, Deje, Nove, Bede, Tuden, Gongri, Dabo, Shabden, Dona, Komen, Zeba, Namda, Tendan, Robe, Pende, Jove, Tundro, Jimmy, Shebe, Chinle, Gesang, Duje, Tundo, Shabden, Chizu, Lame, Tuje, Mulanda, Gesang, Duje, Tendang, Zangme, Shozong, Zozo, Shido, Dumbo, Chida, Membe, Dungun, Lendo, Sho, Page 9. Ramjan Jingi, Gombo, Zeba, Zodo, Namje, Gyung, Drama, Shojo, Zeye, Lazo, Tamze, Daden, Shi, Shogu, Ngojo, Tuden, Jeda, Losang, Gyawayi, Shiro, Tenban, Zembe, Peiyun, Tade, Duja, Gyungwe, Xinyen, Yangdu, Nishe, Gombo, Shabden, Jide, Zungwe, Chana, Pemi, Dembe, Zawa, Soso, Tawa, Nanda, Zure, Yangda, Lamba, Losang, Genden, Medo, Shabden, Tuzhong, Gyaltsen, Nonzin, Yangbe, Samzhong, Namzhe, Tangzin, Junbe, Gongzhong, Shila, Songzhu, Debe, Tuden, Chebe, Dongma, Guo, Bozo, Zembe, Rilan, Siyu, Bumda, Zembe, Tenden, Lishe, Tangzha, Hiro, Xinyin, Shenbo, Shabden, Kebe, Langdu, Gushe, Zeta, Zumbe, Nangda, Nizo, Tada, Sangbe, Duja, Jungbe, Yishe, No, Sumden, Xinyin, Shenbo, Shabden, Tezang, Lula, Jabe, Tende, Minzhong, Tangzhe, Sangme, Xijin, Labjin, Zijin, Dendru, Beishawa, Zendin, Xinyin, Shenbo, Shabden, Chozong, Gyawa, Siji, Shila, Tuden, Tamjin, Sume, Chinle, Daja, Lasam, Dabe, Dembe, Shida, Membe, Lendo, Sho, Changzhu, Simzho, Rinpoche, Maje, Bana, Jewa, Yangwa, Meba, Yang, Gone, Dewa, Sho, Tongni, Dawa, Rinpoche, Maje, Bana, Yejo, Jewa, Gone, Gondo, Bewa, Sho, Sa, Shi, Beji, Joshi, Mendo, Zhang, Rinra, Lingxi, Ninde, Yenba, Sanje, Shindo, Mide, Wewa, 로군 난다 진라 제바 쇼 칸레 라베 코르베 신감데 펜단 대와 마르 중베 제레 세와 텐진 자조 샤베 시덴 바도 덴조제 예당 고로 니양다야 민 예와 군도 양다 라만단 데메 체제 벨라